most things, good afternoon, everyone. As with most things in life, everything has a plus and a minus. As the last speaker, I have the privilege of having the last word in this discussion. But also as the last speaker before lunch, I know nobody wants to listen to me for more than 5 minutes. So I will not repeat anything that has been said by far more eminent speakers than me. Let me just briefly give you an idea of what we did at Vidhi and one major takeaway that I think we should all keep in mind when we're talking about policy and tribunals. At Vidhi, we had the opportunity to study two very major tribunals set up by the central government, the TDSAT and the IPAB. We had a chance to work with the central government on the issue of merging tribunals. We also studied the impact of the Supreme Court's judgments on all tribunals, specifically the NTT judgment, which had a major impact, I think, on a whole set of tribunals. I don't want to go into the specifics of each study or what specific findings we made, but I want to focus on one important aspect, and that is this. Everything that we discussed today in terms of policy and who has to make what changes to the functioning of the tribunals depends very much on who actually makes the changes. When I say this, I mean that the control, the supervision, and the management of tribunals is currently a mess in this country. Our study showed that tribunals have become orphans. They are neither part of the judiciary, they're neither considered part of the formal judiciary, nor are they considered the core concern of the parent ministry which is in charge of them, and they're nobody's problem. I think that is a very sad state of affairs. I personally don't know the exact situation in Karnataka. We haven't done that study yet, but from what I was able to make out, this was true of a large number of tribunals across the country. I think if we have to start talking about what changes need to be made to tribunals, the conversation has to first start by saying that tribunals are not an alternate to courts. They are as much part of the court system as the High Court, Supreme Court, and the district judiciary. They should therefore be treated as part of the judiciary and constitutionally should enjoy the same protections and the independence of the judiciary. Justice Ramohan Reddy made a very important point about having a central institution. I think the judiciary as a whole has also functions as an institution for the issues of the judiciary. You have conferences of chief ministers and chief justices where the chief justice and the Supreme Court judges can put forth their points. You have the collegium which deals on an equal basis with the central government on issues of appointment. And you have various committees set up by the Supreme Court which are also concerned with the issues of the judiciary. Unfortunately, there is no such body for tribunals. We can't create a body for the tribunals out of thin air, and I don't think the government will be taking up these issues because they're just not on the list of priorities. I think the most important fundamental reform that tribunals in this country need is to be considered part of the judiciary and enjoy the same level of protection and changes. Protection and benefits of such reform. Coming back to a point as to why do we really need to do this, I think we have come to a situation where there is a crisis in the Indian judicial system. I know everybody keeps saying there's always a state of crisis, but I think this is something that has come to light recently. Specifically, I want to point to two very interesting studies, one carried out by Daksh and one carried out by the Cornell University, which actually show that contrary to popular belief, there is no litigation explosion in India. Recently, the chief economic advisor said there's a litigation explosion in India. Unfortunately, that is absolutely untrue. What we instead have is large-scale judicial exclusion, litigation exclusion. We have people being unable to access judicial institutions for various reasons. And even when they have an opportunity to access, they are not choosing to come to the judicial institutions. These are issues which I'm sure more people are doing research. I just wanted to highlight this here to say that this is a problem we'll have to start dealing with now. The theme of this conference is access to justice. The point of this conference is to find out how we can increase access to justice. And I think the starting point of further inquiry should be that, yes, there is a huge problem in accessing justice. And any reforms that we consider, whether in tribunals, whether in courts, and in any other judicial institution, has to start from the point of view of how do we make them more accessible to people. So with that, I'd like to conclude my remarks. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak.